Lewno of Bobby Bike Hike, and this is actually, you have other locations other than Little Rock, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so we're going to hear about that, and welcome, Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, and those were great words. That is actually, I'm glad to be around a big room full of people like this. When I got started, I really believe in the fact that it's really who you surround yourself with that really helps you keep motivated and keep moving on. And so I surrounded myself with people that were entrepreneurial minded, and really I think that's what really created the success that we've seen. So to be in a room like this and to hear those words are very encouraging. My name is Jeremy Lewno. I'm the founder of Bobby's Bike Hike. We do bike tours and rentals in the Little Rock River Market. And the first question I always get is, who is Bobby? Because my name is Jeremy. I actually named this after my late father. It was a tribute to him, Bob Lewno. He was a tour operator here in Little Rock and really instilled my passion for travel and tourism. I grew up here, and I went to UCA, and I spent a semester, actually, I had an opportunity to go abroad and live in Europe for school. And when I was there, I traveled around some different cities, and I actually did a bike tour in Munich. This was in 1999. And I was traveling by myself, and I just fell in love with the whole concept. We were taking a city tour. It was very interactive. I was by myself, so I got to meet a lot of people. It was very informative, so it was really great to, I still think of Munich, and I think of how great that city is based off of this tour. And it was just fun. And I think my background, because I was raised in the tourism industry, I think it just all clicked with me exactly what made sense about this tour. So then fast forward, I went back to UCA, finished up school, and on a whim I kind of moved up to Chicago after school just because, I don't know, just because actually. I just had really no reason. And I moved up there, and after a couple years of just doing some odd jobs, the whole idea of this bike tour concept, this was back in, well, I moved up there in 99, or I took the tour in 98, moved to Chicago in 99. And I just kept thinking about this bike tour. And at that point, there was really no one doing bike tours across the country. City bike tours, that is. Similar to what they were doing in all these different European cities. So I just, in Chicago, if you've ever been, is completely flat. It's very accessible by bike. So I thought, man, I really want to do this. So I finally just got up the courage to sell my car, asked my mom for a very meager loan, and I bought 25 bikes. And parked them in a parking garage downtown, and had this little storage kiosk in the parking garage. And I met participants. I was the actual tour guide, and I met participants up at the historic water tower and would take them on tours of the city. And it started very slowly. This was back in 2002. And then eventually, after about 4 years, it started kind of really picking up. And then, and now we've grown to a level that we've got 300 bikes up there, and we offer about 12 different tours a day. And we've been luckily to be praised with a number of different accolades. But the interesting thing, and then 2 years ago, my wife and I decided to move the business, and move ourselves down to Little Rock. We wanted to start a family. Downtown Chicago really wasn't calling us on that level, so we said, why not back to Little Rock? And with the development of downtown, with the development of the river market, it created an environment for us to be really attracted to. We were really getting used to the downtown lifestyle of Chicago, so we were able to buy a condo down here and move down and start the business. It's been one of the most rewarding things for me to be able to come back and take everything that I've learned in the 12 years I've been doing up in Chicago and bring it back here because this is the community that I was raised in. A couple challenges I want to speak about when I was getting started. First and foremost, when you're starting a business, obviously there is absolutely no money unless you take out extraordinary loans, which I wasn't really interested in doing. So I was kind of slow growth mentality of just whatever I kind of earned, I would put back into the business. And I was also waiting tables at the very beginning to kind of supplement the winners, especially. And so I had a lot of different opportunities. I saw, different tour companies advertising in different things and doing different things, and I kept looking at the price tags, and they were pretty hefty for what we were bringing in. So, I started trying to think, well, where am I going to put this money? Where am I going to invest, whatever I make from either the small part of the business or what I'm getting from my waiting tables job, where am I going to put that money to good use. And in fact, instead of focusing on what I was going to do to spread my message out, what I did was I really took all the money and all my time, because I had more time than I had money. I invested it back into the business as far as training my staff and training the people that came to work for us. And so what we did was we developed 3 tenets: travel, community, and health. And these are all things that we still work and live by today at Bobby's Bike Hike. Travel is education through travel. We consider ourselves to be ambassadors of the city. That's a great responsibility. We want people to come here. We want to manage those expectations. We want to exceed those expectations and make people not only realize that, Bobby's Bike Hike was a fun experience, but Little Rock is a great place to explore. And the history is so amazing that they go back and tell their folks whenever they head back to wherever they may be from. The other thing is community, giving back to our local community. So it was really important for us to develop a staff that was really interested in giving back, volunteering, and really just being a part of the local community. And that's something that we do every day at our business, both in Chicago and Little Rock. And the last thing is health. We wanted to create an environment that was healthy, not only for ourselves, but for the environment. And so the bicycle is actually a perfect combination of both of those things. But it was really extremely important for us to really just keep that encouragement and offer that type of environment for our staff. And so over the years, we've really developed a group of people that are really working together for the same things. And they really do, everyone with Bobby's Bike Hike really believes that we're making a difference in the world, and that's extremely important. So I can come here and say that we're doing bike tours and rentals, but really it's a bigger thing than that, and it's more important to all the people that work with me. So I appreciate you having me. I never really know how long I talk. I kind of go really quickly and fast. So if I'm at my time, I'll open it up for some questions, or I can keep speaking.
Give it up for Jeremy first. I'm going to transition you to this one so we can pass this one off.
Okay.
So who has first question?
Lucas Deem with Retro Cat Media. I just want to know, how old were you when you sold your car and first started your business?
That's a good question. I was 27 years old back in 2002, and so it was an interesting experience. And one of the things that was one of the most positive things that I took from it, because I was leading these people. I mean, it was really interesting because I was taking tours around Chicago, and I'm from Little Rock, so I had to do a lot of studying on the city to really have people really take me seriously, and then also I had to go around and kind of earn my street credit for my knowledge and my background in Chicago. So kind of being 27 years old and a little bit, 27 years old and very naive. But I also think the naivete was to my advantage. I think there's a lot that goes into that when you are kind of, a little bit young and not concerned about different things. So I kind of went in and dove right in.
Mandy Foltz with Timberline Adventure Park. I was wondering if you have any themes or that type of thing. My mother was just telling me about touring a city and finding all its murals. I didn't know if you had any specific themes, or it's all pretty much the same tour for anyone that comes in. They get to see different parts of the city.
That's a good question. I should probably have done a little bit of promotion on this thing. In Chicago, we've got 12 different tours that are all completely different genres of tours. So in Little Rock, we're still developing the amount of tours, and so we started with our Historic Neighborhoods tour, which takes you into the Quapaw Quarter, MacArthur Park, Central High District, over to the state capitol, and then back along the River Trail. Last year, we introduced a pork and bourbon tour, which is a southern food sampling tour, and we go around and literally sample southern cuisine and local spirits. Now, we actually, oddly enough, keep you under the legal limit, which is extremely important to us. So we just sample, but it's a great tour, and that one actually. Both the tours we've been very impressed with. I've been extremely impressed with just the amount of interest there is. But we do plan to bring on some more that are kind of niche tours that you'll be seeing coming up here in not too distant future. Yes?
What kind of split is your customer base in terms of natives versus tourists?
That's a good question. We get primarily folks that are from around central Arkansas, but those folks are usually entertaining out of city guests. So basically, if someone comes to visit you guys and you're looking for things to do, we're hoping that you guys will choose, the river trail. We think, obviously we are in the natural state, and Little Rock is the capital of the natural state, and literally right along our river, bookend by two beautiful pedestrian bridges, the Clinton Bike Bridge and the Big Dam Bridge. You've got, 7.5 miles out and 7.5 miles in, 15-mile round trip river trail. So that's extremely important for us to promote. Outside of Little Rock, we get people from all over the world. I've been impressed, having come back to Little Rock after being away for 14 years and living here for the last 2.5 years, is just how many people we literally get from all over the world. The Clinton Library has been a big factor in that because people the name recognition, people want to come and visit that. So we get people that are coming through, but we get people in our shop probably maybe once every day, every 2 days, that is from some corner of the world. And it's just been unbelievable to see so much international interest in Little Rock. Yes?
John Riggins. Speak about the regulations that you had to face and the bureaucracies, whether in Chicago or in Little Rock, that a tour operator has to face. And I'm thinking, as Uber and Lyft and some of these other services are coming on board, what type of obstacles, I guess, did you face from other tour operators in starting your business?
Well, that's a good question, and there's a number. I could go on for quite a while on this one, but the speaking specifically to some of the bureaucracy and some of the things that go along with that. When I was starting my business, again, there was no one doing city bike tours like this really anywhere in the country. In fact, I did my research and I was trying to find something out there at the time, and there was just nothing. And so to call city government in Chicago and tell them what I was trying to do, I was having to explain it from scratch to say, and I got questions, are they going to have a loudspeaker? Are you going to be, shouting out things as you're riding? And I had to, what we do is our tour guides lead groups through the city, and they ride from point to point, and at each point they talk about the history and what you're looking at in the neighborhoods or whatever the theme of the tour is. But I had to kind of keep explaining my story and find out, because I didn't really know exactly what all I would need as far as licensing and all those things goes. So once I started getting looped back to the same people, I kept asking, and then they kept, I kept getting kind of shuffled around. And then when I started getting back in touch with like some of the original people I was already talking to, I started thinking, all right, I think I've covered all my bases here. I think it's time to just start kind of doing this, and that's where we started moving forward. You talk about different things over the course of the years. In 2002, we were kind of hitting, at the time I didn't realize we were going to be so much hitting a trend with bicycling growing in the way that it did. I'm extremely happy that it has. But now, in Chicago, we've got something called Bike Share, which is these kiosks that are it's funded by the government, where you have kiosks that provide basically a 30-minute ride in between each station, which I personally absolutely love and actually use as a resident and as a commuter by bicycle. And so it's funny because now it's actually been a perfect complement, but leading up to this, I knew it was going to be coming in for the last probably 3 or 4 years. And so you're kind of thinking, leading up to the whole event, you're thinking, am I just my taxes paying into my own demise here? Is this really? Because, I thought this is going to really take a big slice of my rental market. But actually, it's been an extremely good complement. We've worked really well with Divvy, which is the bike share program up there. And theirs really isn't the same market as ours. We've got they're literally for locals. Instead of trying to take a cab, you have an opportunity to pretty much take a bike. Now, if you go over 30 minutes, the price jacks up extremely quickly, and so that's why the encouragement there is to have the visitors use bikes that they can actually take out for long periods of time. But I could go on for days about different stories about things, but Little Rock has been, the beautiful thing about Little Rock, and maybe because, I don't know if it's just because it's home, but and because the tourism industry is, just starting to kind of get some momentum and some build up, it's obviously, everyone's just so encouraging. I mean, they're just, people want to see this in Little Rock, and the feedback that we get is, we're just happy that you guys are here and happy that you guys are offering tours of our city, and that's the most fulfilling. I mean, growing up here, to be able to give back like that and to tell the story of the city has been absolutely wonderful.
I was going to ask, at the beginning, what did you use as far as marketing and promoting your business?
Well, at the very beginning, we had a very meager little brochure that I would literally stand out on Michigan Avenue and hand out to anyone that would take one. That didn't go very far. And so basically, a lot of the investment was very much internal. I spoke a little bit about the fact that I didn't have a lot of money. Well, I basically wanted to figure out a way that could really get that message out there. So we really internalized everything. And so if I wasn't leading a tour, if one of our, I guess it was kind of my friends at the time, was leading a tour, I wanted to make sure they were the most prepared to give that tour. And so it was really, because I really believe, I remember the first year we had somebody, it was a doctor from New Orleans. And I just remember the second year, I mean, we didn't have a lot of people, but it seemed like anyone that came was a patient of that doctor from New Orleans. And I don't know who this doctor is, I don't know who this guy is, but I just remember hearing this, they're from New Orleans, this doctor raved about it, and I just kept thinking, man, I mean, that guy paid to take my tour, and he's out there spreading the message. So it was really just made it so much more important for me to make sure that what we're doing is quality and what we're doing is something that's exceeding expectations, and then the advertising will really take care of itself through word of mouth. And so word of mouth is a really big part of what we do. And the beautiful thing is, with the direction of where the internet's gone in the last 12 years since we've been in business, now it's all review based. So all that investment has really paid off in the fact that we get all these positive reviews. I mean, right now in Chicago, I think we're number one, or we've always been number one. I think we just slipped to number 2, unfortunately, on TripAdvisor. But we've got, it's these reviews that investment really paid off in the long run.
I was also going to say you kind of have built-in marketing because you're literally taking people around the city, so it's very visual and people see that, so I think that's cool. Well, we have time for one more question. Does anyone have anything? Mr. Pendergrass.
Are you looking at any other markets to expand to, tourist-based cities like Memphis or Washington, D.C. or places like that?
We are, yeah. That was, but I never want to expand for the sake of expansion's sake. For us, it's really important to, it's our culture. So for us, if we can go and we feel like we can actually get more people on bikes, and we can get people choosing that type of lifestyle, then for us, we'll do it. So the growth, I think, will come, and I think there might be some opportunity for some other cities, which is something that we are interested in, but it really comes down to whether or not, if we can go and contribute to that city in the way that we really want to do. So that's the most important thing. But yeah, there's an interest there.
That wraps up all the Q&A, but we're going to end like we do every single week with one thing that we can do as a community for you and for your business.
Well, one thing as a community, and this goes back to actually my days in Chicago, is the fact that, just the hospitality. When you see a visitor, because we work in the visitor industry and we're always dealing with tourists and visitors, and if you see somebody that's from out of town, if you see somebody that's looking at a map, and they're confused on where to go, offer them a hand. give them that support, because that Southern hospitality goes a long way in making the brand of Little Rock that much stronger and their experience in the city that much stronger. And the more we can get people coming here and being pleasantly surprised by what they find, they're going to go back and keep spreading the word, and that growth is just going to keep coming organically. So really just use your personality and take the time out of your day to help somebody out. Anybody, but especially if it's somebody that's visiting the city.
Wow, I think that was one of our best asks I've ever heard. That was amazing. Well, Jeremy, thank you. We really appreciate it. And give it up for Jeremy one more time.